Brr, it's starting to feel like it's time for puppy season. So every year after Christmas, I get an uptake in puppies. Unfortunately, some people wait a little too long to get started on the training because they really want their puppy to grow up. And a lot of the behaviors owners start waiting for them to grow out of, when reality is whatever you allow your puppy to practice is actually becoming habits, not something they grow out of. The only thing they're going to grow out of is their collar. So, what should you focus on with your new puppy? Well, socialization should come first. If your puppy is confident and friendly, they're going to be a much easier dog to live with. The other things like addressing jumping or door manners, those can come later. But socialization has to come first. There's a lot of confusion around socialization. Sometimes that makes people think that they need to take their puppy to the dog park. Sometimes that makes people think that that means they need to take their puppy everywhere and meet everything. When in reality, meeting everything and everyone could actually set your puppy back. So an example is if you bring your little bitty puppy over to meet a big bull mastiff, and the big bull mastiff isn't exactly friendly and barks or rolls your puppy, you could create lifelong problems with other dogs. Or you could introduce your puppy to kids, and a kid could accidentally step on a puppy's paw and create fear issues. So how do we properly socialize? Well, I do like to take my puppy a lot of puppy safe places. So that to me means places that there's not tons of other dogs, but they can maybe see other dogs. So that might mean if we are going to the dog park, we're actually just sitting in the car, and maybe I'm sitting in the back and I'm just feeding my puppy some treats for sitting and downing. Maybe we're doing some puppy push-ups, and I'm making a fun experience to see dogs and be really neutral around dogs. That could also mean puppy classes. Remember, you don't want a puppy class that has a puppy mosh pit, so it shouldn't be free play. There should be obedience incorporated into play. And the trainer should definitely step in if there's any bullying going on. Another idea for socialization is having known friends with safe dogs with vaccine histories coming to your house to visit. If you're concerned about any illnesses, you can do a paw dip before they come in. You can have puppy parties where you have your friends come over to meet your puppy to your house. Remember, you always have to listen to what your puppy's saying. So if you haven't gotten your puppy yet, brush up on body language, because if you're missing subtle signs like tongue flicks or picking up a front paw as I'm feeling nervous, we won't be able to support our puppy in a great way. Another thing is going to pet-friendly, non-dog specific stores like Joann Fabrics or Lowe's, and practicing getting your puppy to follow a lure, practicing getting your dog walking on different surfaces, letting them hear different noises, and making it really rewarding. When you are socializing your puppy, I want you to think about focus and fun. The interactions they have should make focusing on you more fun than focusing on the environment, and it should be fun for your puppy the whole time they're out and about. So what about socializing our puppies with kids and other dogs? So with kids, instead of letting kids interact with dogs as a free-for-all, I like to orchestrate it some way. So if a kid is walking up, I might hand them a couple of pieces of kibble and say, hey, will you just feed my puppy a couple of treats? And if my puppy knows sit, I might even say, hey, can you tell my puppy to sit, and then feed him a couple of treats. That's going to tell them what they should be doing. It's a lot easier to tell them what they should be doing than letting them just kind of figure it out, because who knows, they might try to hug, kiss your puppy. Now, those things might still happen, but if I'm walking my puppy and a kid runs up and startles my puppy, I'm going to make it a very rewarding experience. So I'm going to do, here's some chicken, 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 chicken. I might have the kids sit down on the floor, feed my dog some chicken. I kind of want to try to undo that experience. If I notice any sign of my dog shying away from children, I am going to probably take my puppy somewhere they can watch children from far away, but not necessarily have the kids come over. If the kids come close, I would probably reward my dog and then walk away a little further. I'm going to reward my dog for calm choices until they can watch those children from far away feeling safe and comfortable. Sometimes we want to do what's called flooding, which is where we get a new puppy and we take it to our kids' school to pick up our kids, and 20 kids come running out and rush the puppy while we're holding it in our arms. This is a huge no-no. Our puppy can't give us the body language they need to tell us if our puppies are comfortable, and our puppy is going to be more likely to be overwhelmed than see it as a positive experience. So what about dogs? I think it's important, and this isn't where every trainer stands, but I think it's important that dogs learn how to interact with each other. They learn how to read each other's body language. They learn how to play with dogs with different play styles, and they learn how to interact with different dogs. This isn't always safe to do if you don't have a good puppy school around, or if you don't have a good group of friends around. Because when you do interactions out on a walk with a neighbor's dog, it's a gamble. If that dog overcorrects your puppy, they could set your puppy up for a lifetime of problems. So knowing the dog, seeing the dog with other dogs before is a great plan. If you can get together with litter mates, that's a good plan. That shouldn't be the only dogs your puppy meets, but it's a much better plan than going to the dog park. So I'm always looking for confidence. So if I know that my puppy is a little timid around other dogs, I might try to use safe smaller dogs. I might try to use younger puppies or smaller puppies. And I'm going to also pick calm puppies that can kind of sniff around. Maybe we're not even interacting the first time. Maybe both puppies are practicing like sit down, sit down, sit down, stay, stand, those kind of things with a handler, and just learning how to be around other puppies. One of the biggest things I want to warn against is the idea that your puppy needs to meet every single dog, and they need loads of playtime before you could even think about teaching them to be neutral around other dogs. This is a huge mistake. This is how a lot of reactivity is born. So instead of thinking that way, think about the process that creates. You're out for a walk with your little baby puppy. You see your neighbor's Labrador. Your puppy pulls at the end of the leash because he loves dogs, and you did introduce him to everyone and everything. And now he's pulling, and he gets to meet the big lab, and they get to go off leash and play for a little while, and then you finish up your walk. What that creates is when your dog is 8 months old and 80 pounds, they see another dog and they do what they were rewarded for doing before, which is pulling towards the other dog, ignoring you. And they kind of have the expectation of every time I see a dog, I get to wrestle and play. And when you have an 80-pound dog, not everybody wants your dog to meet theirs, so they just want to go about their walk. And when your dog sees that they don't get to interact with the dog and they're restrained by a leash, it starts to build frustration. And when your dog is frustrated, they start whining, and then they might start barking, then they might start actually getting really frustrated, biting the leash, spinning around, maybe redirecting on a handler. But that is how reactivity is born. Instead, we should make sure we're incorporating obedience and following the 80-20 rule. 20% is free play, you get to be social, you get to make your own decisions, and 80% is focus and obedience. In the very beginning, we have to try to be more fun than the dogs. So that could be using reinforcing toys, treats, playing with them, letting our puppy chase us. When we think about the way we interact with our puppy on a walk, we're just kind of standing there, following our puppy. We're definitely not as fun as other dogs. So making sure that you're playing with your dog on walks is going to help combat some of the dogs that don't want to focus on you because their handler isn't fun in the environment, or strangers are generally more rewarding than you are. So in the beginning, you want to be really fun.